And Ben, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for coming on. I'm just going to ask you, before we even get into your reaction, you know what? I'll tell you what. First, your reaction to the video from 2016. And then let me ask you this. Would you have had your client send out a video like this a day and a half, 2 days after that video was published?
Jesse, first, great to be with you again. I was, as you were, horrified by the video. It's a scene of real brutality. It's one thing to read it in the printed page, which is bad enough, but to actually see it happen is horrifying. In answer to your question, I would not have had my client give a statement on the heels of the release of that video. And I certainly wouldn't have had him release that statement, because I think it will be fodder for future examinations and deposition testimony, none of which is going to be good for Mr. Combs.
Another day brings yet another abuse allegation against one of hip-hop's biggest stars, Sean Diddy Combs. Since November 2023, the rap mogul has been working to clear his name. Cassie Ventura was the first to speak out, and since then, several other individuals have come forward with accusations of manipulation and extortion against him.
Oh gosh, I just find it so hard to stomach the idea that you can buy evidence because of who you are, how much money you have. And I'm sure that I'm being too, not closed-minded, but I'm being too idealistic, thinking that no, people wouldn't possibly do that. But I guess that stuff goes on in California, and it's disgusting.
Well, it allegedly happens everywhere. And it's about the wealth and power. That's what some of the themes that we've seen so far in other cases. You know, one of the interesting things about it, and unfortunately, the reason this has changed the game is there are allegations put out in complaints, and there's allegations put out in cases all the time. But it's another thing to see it. And that visual will forever be in people's minds. And it makes me wonder, seems why he wanted to settle that case as soon as possible. Because during the, right?
He's kicking her like a dog on the, not that you should kick a dog, but he's kicking her like some kind of wild animal who's, the only time you should ever act like that is if perhaps you're being attacked. I mean, she's just laying there, you can tell, trying to get away from him, and he's just trying to prevent her from leaving, kicking her, hitting her, and, a lot of times when you watch surveillance videos like these, they are very powerful, but you have to imagine you're only getting a certain perspective. Usually it's a camera that's way up in the corner. So you're not getting the emotion, you're not getting the talking, you're not getting the sweating, the heart beating, if you were standing right there, you'd probably hear her moaning or crying or begging for her life while he's screaming at her and insulting her, and you could probably hear smacking when he's hitting her. So yes, I think this evidence is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. But you sometimes have to step back and say, we're just watching it with no sound, and it sort of happens very quickly, and without that other component to it, without maybe her to explain exactly what was going on a play-by-play, we're really not even getting exactly how bad it is.
However, Diddy's legal team has responded to the allegations with a single question: why now? It's possible that now is simply the right moment for these individuals to pursue legal action against him.
You're former judge, attorney. It's important to have the statute of limitations, but you can also understand why it would be frustrating for people to see this and say, how is he not being brought up on criminal charges in California for this?
Well, first of all, if this woman tried to press charges and they declined the case and said there wasn't enough evidence, and it in fact turns out that it's because he purchased the evidence or he tampered with evidence, there will be an exception to the statute of limitations. That's number one. Number two, why are we not charging this guy with false imprisonment? Why are we not charging this guy with kidnapping? Why are we not charging him with aggravated battery? Those are all second-degree felonies, each of which carries a 15-year prison sentence, each of which would have a much longer statute of limitations period for the filing. I mean, he's hitting her with a vase. That's a deadly weapon. He's holding her down. He's keeping her from leaving that particular hotel. You can tell she's trying to get out. She has her bag. She's trying to get on the elevator, and he's dragging her back. That's kidnapping. Could be argued armed kidnapping because he's throwing deadly weapons at her. A shoe, a vase can all be considered a weapon.
The fact that the LA County District Attorney's Office said they didn't receive a report from law enforcement about this, what does that mean? What does that tell you?
It tells me that she didn't go to the police.
Right.
Or maybe she
Right.
was embarrassed. And I mean, that happens. It's sort of the nature of domestic violence. People just go ahead.
To give you context, in her lawsuit, she put off the allegation she couldn't go to law enforcement. It was just too much. She was in fear.
Yeah, and that's that happens. Unfortunately, that happens so much. Even when victims of domestic violence initially report an incident to law enforcement, I would say more than 50% at a later point change their mind and don't want to pursue the prosecution. And without a witness, without the victim's testimony, it's very hard to prove this type of domestic violence situation. In this case, you wouldn't need a victim because you'd have a video.
Cassie left the scene shortly after settling her lawsuit the very next day. Diddy's lawyers swiftly characterized it as nothing more than a fallout between former lovers who ended a decade-long relationship on sour terms. To them, the $30 million settlement was simply a way to resolve an old dispute.
This bullshit. I'm not a lawyer, but this is all kinds of messed up. Help me understand this. By now, I'm sure almost all of you have seen the horrific, disgusting, unacceptable video documenting Diddy dragging, kicking, assaulting repeatedly his then girlfriend Cassie. And what we didn't see is, according to her lawsuit last year, he also punched her in their hotel room, giving her a black eye, which is why she was running away from him. Despite this video that we have seen of Diddy, the disgusting, I've gone on the record as saying this, awful Los Angeles County District Attorney Jorge Gascon says that Diddy will not face any legal consequences. Why? According to Gascon, in a statement just released, we are aware of the video that has been circulating online, I'm going to take out the word allegedly, depicting Sean Combs assaulting a young woman in Los Angeles. We find the images extremely disturbing and difficult to watch. If the conduct depicted occurred in 2016, unfortunately, we would be unable to charge, as the conduct would have occurred beyond the timeline where a crime of assault can be prosecuted. I'll continue with the rest of the statement in a second, but why? If there is proof that a crime was committed that was never prosecuted, why not pursue legal action? I don't get this. It makes no sense. The statement continues. As of today, law enforcement has not presented a case related to the attack depicted in the video against Mr. Combs, but we encourage anyone who has been a victim or witness to a crime to report it to law enforcement or reach out to our office for support from our Bureau of Victims Services. This statement also reaffirms my suspicion, as I mentioned yesterday, that it was not Cassie or her team that leaked this Diddy video, which he allegedly paid the hotel, the Intercontinental, $50,000 for. That hotel also no longer exists. It went out of business. I speculated yesterday that it was the authorities who had seized Diddy's properties that leaked the video. And now I believe that even more so. And while Diddy may be able to skate away from this problem, the fact that the feds seized his Los Angeles and Miami properties means they already have evidence. He is going down. And hopefully the authorities are making sure to protect his minor daughters. I'm gonna say it. I think his minor daughters should not be in his care. This man is a monster, disgusting, deserves everything coming to him.
Since then, Diddy's lawyers have accused each new accuser of attempting to exploit the situation for financial gain. Diddy has supported this stance, asserting that he is the true victim. According to him and his legal team, all the allegations against him are false, driven either by a desire for attention or a bid to extract money from the rap mogul.
Simone, you made some comments, and what most people were commenting on is that when you said Diddy is done.
Yeah.
And they was like, there's no way, y'all are tearing down a black man. Why are you doing this? Now that there has been more evidence submitted,
right,
video proof of this, what do you have to say about this situation?
I knew that the only reason you get that level of settlement is because the evidence that the claims adjuster for the insurance company reviewed was so terrible that they say, oh, hell no, we out of here.
Can he be criminally charged anywhere?
Okay. So first we've got the state charges. Now the LA District Attorney's Office has come out and said they cannot charge him for assault. Statute of limitations is passed. So then the other offenses that I thought about was perhaps kidnapping. So kidnapping, you don't have to move. It's more so about not allowing somebody to freely move, which happened with her. But California has this weird little narrow thing that it has to be preventing substantial movement or moving somebody from one spot to another so you could whoop their tail even more. That possibly could work in this instance because you saw him drag her down the hall away from the cameras.
Okay.
And the state loves to toss things to the feds because the feds have more resources.
Despite the numerous accusations, some of Diddy's fans remain steadfast in their support. For them, it's difficult to reconcile the image of someone they've admired since the early 90s with the possibility of such serious crimes.
Has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs. Words cannot express the courage and fortitude that Ms. Ventura has shown in coming forward to bring this to light. So what's the strategy? She clearly signed an NDA. What's their strategy coming out? Do they want more money? What is it they're looking for? Somebody hid this video for a long time, Vic.
I don't think it's a chase for more money at this point in time. There is a civil settlement, so any restitution ordered by a criminal court really would not have any weight against Combs if he were to be convicted and sentenced with a restitution order.
Right.
The goal here is exposure. You can bet your bottom dollar that she will be a witness on the witness list. I'd almost bet the firm that she's already testified in front of a secret grand jury. And having been in front of a grand jury all day today, representing an incredibly wrongfully accused client, I will tell you that grand juries take a long time. It could be a year or more before that jury comes back with a true bill. So that is the ultimate goal for her in this
Here's
case.
the thing. Though Diddy faces accusations beyond just sex crimes, the rap mogul has also been alleged to have orchestrated deadly attacks.
Natasha, I actually am surprised that he took this step, but he's not sorry. He's sorry he got caught. That's why he made this step, in my opinion. He went so far as to pay the hotel to keep this video quiet. So I don't believe he's sorry. If he was sorry, this is something he would have admitted to right away. And as you mentioned,
The murders of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls remain one of the darkest chapters in hip-hop history. Despite federal investigations, their cases eventually went cold. Recently, however, Keefe D has come forward with a revelation, suggesting he might have been involved. He claimed that his nephew was the one who actually pulled the trigger on Tupac.
Under the law, to file a criminal charge for this type of misconduct, it's too late. But now that doesn't mean that somehow it might, if the federal government ends up filing, indicting and filing charges against Mr. Combs, it may be that, for example, if they file a RICO violation, that has a longer statute of limitations.
But why hasn't Keefe D revealed the full story? Former associates have stepped forward with claims that the rap mogul was actually behind the hit on Tupac, which inadvertently led to Biggie's death in the crossfire. The Tupac versus Biggie feud stands as one of the most monumental rivalries in rap history, symbolizing the larger East Coast versus West Coast conflict. While Diddy's Bad Boy Records was a dominant force on the East Coast, Suge Knight's Death Row Records held sway over the West.
This is any criminal charge in state court and from the DA's office is the least of his concerns. As Tracy will tell you, I mean, he was hit by the FBI and Homeland Security. They're not there to investigate an assault that occurred in 2016. He's in a box that the feds have caught him in, and he's not going to get out of it, okay? I don't think he's going to get out of it. We're hearing all these rumors and all these lawsuits that are going on that specifically point to human trafficking, sex trafficking as well, where he benefited from. This is actually going to be evidence that's going to bootstrap in and going to be able to show in a trial, if there ever is one of that show, this is how he acts. This is his modus operandi. This is not a new crime that they're going to charge him with, okay? But it could be a predicate act, and Ms. Allred was completely correct. This could be a RICO charge against him. My point is, I think he's already in a box. He's not going to climb out of it.
To say they didn't like each other would be a serious understatement. Interview 10. Suge Knight alleged that Diddy was involved in the murder of one of his close friends and claimed that he had the Bloods keeping tabs on Diddy's every move. This reportedly unsettled the Bad Boy CEO. According to these claims, the only way to get Suge off his back was to eliminate his primary asset and watch Death Row Records fall apart. Interview 11. 50 Cent has since confirmed it, and Keefe D has hinted at it. Diddy was the one who allegedly orchestrated the hit on Tupac.
Because Cassie Ventura's name was dragged through the mud last year when she first came forward with these allegations. Tell me a little bit more about the court of public opinion, first of all, turning in her favor. And then also, could this incident add anything to the FBI investigation into Diddy? Because it's now been almost 2 months since his homes were raided.
Well, I wholeheartedly agree with what Mark said, and I also think, too, the charges from Homeland Security, any federal charges, in my opinion, because I feel this may be a RICO or trafficking charge that could come down, is going to take some time. I've worked RICO cases that have taken actually years to investigate. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but I don't think that this is something that's going to be handed down, an indictment that's going to be handed down very quickly. Now, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
In terms of the court of public opinion, look, I think Diddy actually dragged the federal government, quite frankly, through the mud. When these search warrants were executed, he said that they used inappropriate force. In my opinion, this video right now gives them all the reason in the world.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Suge Knight's empire truly fell apart after Tupac's murder. He went from being a major industry force to someone avoided by nearly everyone. Meanwhile, Diddy continued to thrive, enjoying success and prominence alongside the notorious B.I.G. Interview 13. Would you believe it? Diddy is also accused of having his own moneymaker killed, according to his former associates. They allege that Diddy promised over $1 million to Orlando Anderson to have Tupac killed. Interview 14. However, the rap mogul never followed through with the payment. Sources suggest that, since police had footage of Orlando Anderson and Tupac clashing at the M Grand in Las Vegas, Diddy knew it would be difficult to link him directly to the case. Consequently, he saw no reason to complete the payment. Interview 15. Here's where the details get murky. It's unclear whether Orlando Anderson killed Biggie because Diddy refused to pay him, or if Suge Knight offered $2 million to have Biggie killed as well. Regardless, fans are beginning to face a troubling possibility Diddy may be at the center of the events that led to the loss of two of hip-hop's biggest names.